The sky was burning orange as the small human shuttle came crashing down through the alien atmosphere. Sparks flew from its tail as the ship clipped the edge of a hill, then rolled into a soft valley surrounded by glowing trees. Smoke curled up from its broken side. Inside the cockpit, Callan groaned and pulled himself free. He had survived, but his ship was finished. He climbed out slowly, his suit scratched, his hand bleeding where a panel had cut him. He looked around. This was not the planet he was supposed to land on. He had no idea where he was. The forest was quiet, the trees tall and strangely shaped, glowing faintly from the inside like soft lanterns. The air smelled like sweet grass and warm dust. A strange calm settled over him until he heard something move. A figure stepped out from behind a tree. Small, thin, and beautiful in a soft, natural way. Her skin was a pale purplish blue, and her long silver-white hair swayed gently in the breeze. She had small elf-like ears and curious eyes that shimmered like stars. She wore simple clothes made from plant fibers. Callan raised his hands. "I'm not here to hurt anyone, I just crashed." The alien girl tilted her head. She seemed more surprised than afraid. Slowly, she stepped closer. "You are human?" she asked, her voice soft and musical. Callan nodded. "Yes. My name is Callan. My ship broke. I'm alone." She looked at his bleeding hand and gasped. "You are wounded." He glanced at the cut. "It's not bad, just a scratch." But she was already kneeling in front of him, taking his hand gently in hers. Before he could say anything else, she leaned down and kissed the wound. Callan blinked in shock. What are you doing?" She smiled sweetly. "I am helping. On my world, when someone is hurt, a kiss helps heal it." He looked at the cut again. It still hurt, but he noticed the bleeding had slowed. Whether it was her touch or just time passing, he wasn't sure. Still, something about it made him feel calm, cared for. "Thanks," he said softly. She stood and motioned for him to follow. "Come, my home is near. You must rest." Callan hesitated only a second before walking behind her. She moved gracefully between the trees, always checking to see if he was okay. Soon they reached a small village hidden within the forest. The homes were made of smooth stone and wood, shaped like large shells and painted in calming colors. The villagers stared at Callan, but no one looked angry, just curious. A few children peeked out from behind the walls, giggling. The girl led him to a quiet hut and gave him water made from glowing fruit. It tasted like honey and lemon. "I am called Sira," she said. "I saw your ship fall from the sky." "Thank you, Sira," Callan replied. "You saved me. I don't know how to repay you." She looked at his hand again and touched it gently. "You still have pain?" "A little," he admitted. Without hesitation, she kissed the wound again. This time, he didn't stop her. Sira sat beside him. "Do all humans bleed like this when injured?" "Pretty much," Callan said, smiling a little. She seemed fascinated. "In my culture, healing is more than herbs. Emotion matters. A kiss gives comfort. That is why I did it." Callan nodded. "We have something similar. We call it kindness." Sira looked pleased. "Then maybe we are not so different." The next few hours passed quietly. Sira helped clean the wound and gave him some soft cloth to rest on. Callan looked up at the alien ceiling and thought about what had just happened. He was on an unknown world surrounded by peaceful aliens and being cared for by a gentle girl who believed kisses could heal pain. It was strange, but it also felt nice. As night fell, the sky outside turned a deep blue. Strange flying creatures with glowing wings danced between the trees. Callan stepped outside the hut and Sira joined him. "You can stay here," she said softly, "at least until help comes." "Thank you," he replied. Then he looked at her. Really looked. Her face was lit by the soft moonlight, her silver, hair catching the light like silk. She seemed more like a dream than a real person, but the warmth of her touch still lingered on his hand. "Why did you really kiss it?" he asked, gently teasing. "You knew it wouldn't magically heal." Sira smiled, her cheeks slightly tinted. "Because I didn't want you to be afraid. And because I care." Callan didn't know what to say. He had just met her, yet something about her made him feel calm. Safe. Maybe, he thought. There was more truth to her kisses than he first believed. The stars above blinked gently, and the forest whispered around them. Far away, his broken ship lay cold and silent. But here, in this alien world, he had found something warm, something that made him feel a little less lost. Callan woke up early the next morning to soft light coming through the leafy window. The air inside Sira's hut smelled like sweet herbs and morning dew. For a moment, he forgot he was far from Earth. Then he remembered the crash, the alien, forest, and the girl who kissed his wound. He stretched his arms and sat up, noticing his hand was bandaged now. The pain had faded. Outside, he heard soft humming. Stepping out, he saw Sira kneeling near a water basin, washing fruit. Her long hair shimmered in the light, and her smile was calm when she looked up. "You slept well?" she asked. "Better than I expected," Callan said. "Thanks for everything." She handed him a piece of glowing fruit. It was small, round, and blue. He bit into it and smiled. It tasted like sweet berries mixed with vanilla. Sira tilted her head. "Do humans not have glowing food?" "Nope," he said with a chuckle. "On Earth, food doesn't shine, and no one kisses cuts to heal them either." She looked thoughtful. "Strange world," Callan laughed. "Yours isn't exactly normal, either." Later that morning, Sira took Callan to the village's edge where large spinning turbines stood tall among the trees. She explained that the turbines collected wind energy for lights and water systems, but several of them were broken. "Can you help fix them?" she asked. "Our builders are away." "I'll try," Callan said. "I know a little about this kind of tech." Sira smiled with hope, and they got to work. Callan climbed up a tall frame using a ladder made of vines. The bolts were loose, and some wiring was frayed. He pulled out his repair tool from his belt and began tightening things. But as he moved across the frame, a sharp edge caught his elbow. "Ow!" he hissed, looking down. A shallow cut had opened just above his arm. Before he could react, Sira climbed halfway up the ladder and reached for him. "Let me see." "It's okay," he tried to say, but she had already taken his arm gently in her hands. And just like before, she kissed the wound softly. Callan's cheeks turned red. "You really take this healing kiss thing seriously, huh?" Sira looked serious. "Even small wounds matter. Pain should not be ignored." Her words, though simple, felt heavy with care. Callan was used to patching himself up and moving on. But here, someone noticed even a scratch and did something kind for it. He smiled. "All right then. Thanks, healer." They worked side by side, all day. Callan fixed 2 turbines while Sira brought him tools, water, and snacks. The villagers watched from a distance. A few whispered, clearly curious about the human. Some even smiled when they saw Sira following Callan around closely. In the afternoon, Callan was working under one of the larger turbines when a piece of metal slipped and hit his leg. "Ouch. Again?" he muttered. Sira rushed over, her eyes wide. "Where is it?" "My shin. Just a bruise this time." Still, she knelt down, pulled back the cloth gently, and kissed the spot just below his knee. Callan was quiet for a second. "You don't have to kiss every bump I get." She looked up at him with calm eyes. "But I want to." He didn't argue. Her kindness was sincere. Each time she did it, he felt more seen, more human, in a world far from home. That evening, they returned to the hut. Callan sat down and took off his boots with a tired sigh. "You worked hard today," Sira said softly. She brought him a warm drink that smelled like mint and flowers. "Not as hard as you," Callan said. You kept chasing me around with healing kisses. Sira laughed gently. Maybe you should be more careful. Callan nodded, then looked at her. Back home, we don't kiss people unless they're very close. It's usually a sign of love or affection. Sira became quiet. She stared at the floor. I know. You do? She nodded. Our people also believe that. That is why only those we care for receive the healing touch. Callan felt his heartbeat rise a little. He looked at her hands, how gentle they had been with his wounds, and then into her eyes, which held warmth and something deeper. He smiled. So either you kiss everybody who gets hurt, or I'm special. Sira's cheeks turned a soft purple hue. You are, not like others. They both fell silent. Outside, the night birds began to sing and soft lights floated through the forest like slow-moving fireflies. Finally, Callan broke the silence. Hey, if I get another cut tomorrow, will you? Yes, she said quickly, interrupting him. They both laughed. It was the kind of laughter that made things feel lighter. Like maybe this strange, faraway place wasn't so lonely after all. As Callan lay down to sleep, he looked at his arm and leg. The pain was already fading. Not because of magic, but because someone cared. The next morning, Callan felt stronger. His wounds had stopped hurting, and Sira's healing kisses seemed to work well, at least in making him feel better. Today, he planned to explore the nearby forest to look for the crystals the villagers used for energy. Sira wanted to come with him, but Callan shook his head. You should stay here and help the others. It might be dangerous. She frowned, but nodded. Be careful. The forest was thick with tall trees, their leaves glowing faintly in green and blue shades. Strange birds with long tails flew overhead, singing soft melodies. Callan moved carefully over roots and stones, scanning the ground. After walking for nearly an hour, he saw something sparkling near a fallen tree. It was a cluster of blue crystals, shining even in the daylight. He smiled and reached out. Suddenly, a loud growl came from behind. Callan froze. A large alien creature stepped out from the bushes. It looked like a mix between a wolf and a lizard. Its skin was rough and covered in scales, its eyes glowing yellow. It bared sharp teeth and snarled. Callan's heart pounded. He slowly backed away, but the creature stepped forward, blocking his path. He tried to stay calm. Easy. I don't want to fight. But the creature growled louder and lunged. Callan dodged to the side, but his leg hit a root and he stumbled. The creature was almost on him when suddenly Sira appeared. She shouted loudly, throwing a glowing stick toward the beast. The creature stopped and growled again, but hesitated. Sira moved forward, waving her arms and speaking in her language. The creature growled once more and then backed off, disappearing into the forest. Callan looked at her, breathing hard. Thanks. That was close. Sira smiled but looked worried. You should not go alone. He nodded. I know. I was careless. As they walked back to the village, Callan noticed several bruises on his arms and legs. The creature's attack had left marks. Worse, there was a deep cut on his side where a claw had grazed him. He tried to hide the wound, but Sira caught sight of it. You are hurt badly. Callan shook his head. It's not bad, just a scratch. Sira did not agree. No scratch, looks like that. Without hesitation, she dropped to her knees and gently pulled back his shirt. The wound was deep and bleeding slightly. She touched it carefully, then kissed it softly. Callan closed his eyes. The pain was sharp at first, but then dulled. See? She said softly. The kiss helps. Callan smiled faintly. I'm beginning to believe you. She kept her hand on his side. You must rest now. He agreed. The villagers helped him back to the hut. Sira stayed close, watching over him with gentle eyes. As Callan lay on the soft mat, he thought about what she had said earlier, that in her culture, a kiss was a sign of deep care and trust. The way she had kissed his wounds made him feel safer, even when danger was near. Hours later, Callan woke to find Sira sitting beside him holding a small bowl of glowing water. "You should drink this," she said. "It will help your body heal." He took the bowl and drank slowly. The water was cool and sweet. "Thank you, Sira," he said. "You have been very kind." She smiled shyly. "I want to help." Callan's thoughts wandered. This alien girl had saved his life, protected him from wild beasts, and cared for him with healing kisses. He felt a strange warmth inside that he had never felt before. "Why do you care so much?" he asked quietly. Sira looked at him with honest eyes. "Because you are not like others. You are special." Callan did not know what to say. He reached out and gently touched her hand. "Maybe you are special too," he said. Sira's cheeks turned pink. She looked down but did not pull away. For the first time, Callan saw that the kiss was more than a strange custom. It was a promise, a way to say, "I am here for you." As the night grew darker, the forest outside whispered with soft sounds. Callan felt safe, not because the danger was gone, but because Sira was near. A few days passed since the attack in the forest, and Callan was slowly recovering. The cut on his side was almost closed, and the bruises were fading. Every day Sira came to kiss his wounds, and every day he felt stronger. The village was peaceful, but the sky had grown dark and heavy. A storm was coming. The villagers hurried to prepare. They secured their homes, covered the crystal panels, and brought animals into shelter. Sira stayed close to Callan, helping where she could, but she was nervous. "The storm is strong," she said quietly. "It could hurt us." Callan nodded. "We will be okay. We have to be." That night the wind howled like a wild beast. Rain poured down in heavy sheets and thunder shook the earth. The village huddled inside their homes, listening to the storm's rage. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed nearby. Callan jumped up. What was that? Sira's eyes were wide with fear. The big tree. It fell near the child's house. Callan grabbed his coat. "We have to help." They ran through the storm, rain soaking their clothes and mud splashing at their feet. At the child's home, the tree had crushed part of the roof and wall. The family was trapped inside. Sira called out, softly, "Are you okay?" A small voice answered, trembling. "Help! Please!" Callan and Sira worked quickly, lifting broken branches and stones. But the roof shifted suddenly, and a heavy beam fell, hitting Sira's leg. She cried out in pain. Callan rushed to her side. Her leg was bleeding badly and she looked pale. "I'm fine," she said, trying to stand, but the pain made her fall back. Callan held her gently. "No, you're not fine. Let me help." Sira looked at him with trust. Callan tore a strip from his shirt to tie around her leg to stop the bleeding. Then, remembering her healing kisses, he hesitated for a moment and leaned down to kiss the wound. Sira's eyes widened in surprise. She had never been kissed like that before, especially not by a human. The pain seemed to lessen, and she smiled weakly. "You are healing me now," she whispered. Callan smiled back. "Your kiss helped me. Now it's my turn." They stayed close as the rain continued to fall. Callan whispered stories to calm her, telling her about Earth, about skies full of stars and oceans that stretched forever. Slowly, her breathing became steady. After the storm passed, the village began to repair the damage. Callan helped where he could, but he stayed near Sira. She was weak, but her spirit was strong. One evening, Sira looked at Callan with soft eyes. "Why did you kiss me?" He shrugged. "Because you helped me. Because you matter to me." She reached out and touched his hand gently. "I never thought a human would do this." Callan smiled. "Maybe humans are not so different from you." Sira nodded. "Maybe love is the strongest healing of all." They sat quietly, the moon shining softly through the window. For the first time, Callan understood the true meaning behind Sira's kisses. It was not just tradition or belief, it was a deep way to show care, trust, and love. He felt lucky to be the one she cared for. The night was calm now, and in the silence, Their hands found each other. Days turned into weeks, and Callan found himself settling into life in the village more than he ever expected. The strange alien world was no longer so strange, especially with Sira by his side. He had helped fix the village's machines, learned their customs, and, most importantly, grown closer to Sira. Her gentle kisses on his every scratch and bruise had become a daily ritual, one he looked forward to. One afternoon, as the sun warmed the soft blue leaves overhead, Callan and Sira walked along a narrow path leading to a crystal lake. The water shimmered in green and violet colors, clear as glass. Sira stopped and looked at him with a playful smile. "Do you have any new scratches today?" Callan laughed. "Not yet, but maybe I should try to get one." She tilted her head. "Why would you want that?" He grinned. "So you have an excuse to kiss me again." Sira laughed softly, the sound like a gentle bell. "You are silly, human." They sat by the lake, their feet touching the cool water. Callan looked at the pale blue sky and thought about how much his life had changed since he crashed here. "Never thought I would find a new home on an alien world," he said quietly. Sira reached for his hand. "Maybe home is where you feel safe." He squeezed her hand gently. "With you, I feel safe." Sira's eyes softened. "And I feel happy when I care for you." Callan smiled. "You have taught me a new way to heal. Not just the body, but the heart." She leaned in, brushing her lips lightly on his cheek. "Your heart is important." As the days passed, their bond grew stronger. The villagers no longer saw Callan as a stranger, but as one of their own. Sira's healing kisses became a symbol of their love and trust. One evening, as stars filled the sky, Callan pretended to scratch his arm while they sat by the fire. "Another wound," he said, grinning. Sira raised an eyebrow. "Really?" He nodded seriously. "Yes, it needs a kiss." She laughed and kissed his arm gently. Callan pulled her close. "You know, for someone who thinks kisses heal wounds, you healed my heart." Sira smiled and rested her head on his shoulder. Together, they looked up at the stars, feeling that maybe, in this vast universe, love was the most powerful way to heal all wounds.